Hey everyone, welcome back to On the Fence Movie Reviews. I am Adrian, joined by my co-host Rob. Today we're going to be talking about A Quiet Place 2. So, A Quiet Place 2 stars Emily Blunt and Cillian Murphy, and it's picking up right where we left off on the A Quiet Place, the first one, and so now uh, Emily Blunt's character, they're kind of in a survival mode now that John Krasinski's, I'm sorry, spoiler alert, John Krasinski's character who uh, dies in the first one, they're kind of left without a sort of a protector who's been helping feed the family, protect the family, and keep them safe. And they have that big dilemma of having a newborn in a world where you need to stay absolutely silent. um, and so the film is, as we know from the first one, it is a survival film, and there's this aliens creatures that are trying to get them, and we are also introduced to new characters. One mainly played by Cillian Murphy. His character's name is Emmett, and we find out his story, and and then the movie just takes off from there. Rob, what were your thoughts on this film?
Well, Adrian, I really like this film. I like the first one. I thought the first one was
Yeah.
a masterpiece, if you were gonna ask me, in its own little form. So, this movie, A Quiet Place 2, kind of had, I had the bar pretty high for it, and
Yeah.
and in my opinion, I feel like it got there, and they do a lot of similar things,
Uh huh.
as far as sound, as far as having to stay quiet, and there's this one scene. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but there's this one scene where the kind of the audio track in this movie goes just completely silent, and
Yeah.
honestly, like eh, I was just like, it's very disturbing for, like, just listening to this movie and actually, like, not hearing any sound.
Okay. Yeah.
It's just very disturbing, and it's almost like it's not normal because I can hear. It's not normal, and so I thought the way they played with sound was amazing once again.
Mm.
Everyone in the theater was very hesitant to eat popcorn and chew on candy. Everyone's just like, should we all be quiet?
Yeah, it's a
So
very unique experience when like
yes,
the auditorium is completely silent, and
yeah,
you know,
yes,
y-
yes. So
oh
you have that. I mean, I feel like that more just involves you with the movie.
yeah,
You feel like you got to be quiet too, but
exactly, yeah,
just as far as the story, I like where they went with it. I like them bringing in more characters, kind of expanding. We get a little at the very beginning of the movie. We
yeah,
do get a little flashback, and I think it was the perfect amount of like what happened before, kind of day one, and you see the progression to where we were in the first A Quiet Place. So I like that they didn't go too far back and they didn't stay back there too much where you're like, okay, well, is this like a prequel? But I think they did it
yeah,
just enough to kind of build up for this movie. The actors in this movie, the actors, actresses, they all did an amazing job. For me specifically, the daughter, I believe it's Reagan, if I'm not mistaken.
uh huh,
um she does an amazing job. I don't think she's like, I feel like from the first one to this one, she's kind of taken a step forward as far as screen time, and I think
yes,
it's just she does a phenomenal job. And Killian Murphy, who I'm a huge fan of. I first seen him in 28 Days Later, and then his
yes,
progression of shows and TV shows and movies he's been in. I feel like he always does a good job. He's a great actor, and in this movie, he does a great job as well. His performance, the emotion, everything that he brings in, he doesn't. I don't think he replaces the father figure. I just think he adds his own kind of he
yeah.
fills
There's a
a different
contrast
spot.
too. Yes, there's a
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
contrast
yeah.
to the characters,
Yeah, he
and
fills a completely different spot, and I like what they did with it. It didn't feel
yeah,
like he was forced in there. And Killian Murphy does an amazing job playing Emmett, and it's just overall. I mean, I have nothing but praise for this movie. There is, I guess, one, if I'm gonna nitpick about one thing, and it is a spoiler, so I don't want to get too much into it,
okay,
but just certain things they do with certain characters.
okay,
I'm just not a huge fan of, and you probably know what I'm talking about, Adrian. So if
yes,
if you happen to watch this movie, this might stick out to you. Just certain things what they do with certain characters. I just
yeah.
wasn't a fan of, but that is me nitpicking off of, in my opinion, is a really,
Yeah.
really excellent movie. Well, Adrian, what did you think?
You know what? I will echo a lot of the things that you said, but mainly, like what you had mentioned, I really enjoyed that the first about 15 minutes they kind of set up, because for those of you that remember on the first one, they show like the day count. It starts off at like day 200 whatever, and
Right.
then it jumps to like day 400 whatever. Here the movie starts right at the beginning, day 1, and you see they're in this small town, that quintessential small American town. They're watching their kids play baseball, and the next thing you know, these creatures show up and just start terrorizing the town. And I like that because it gives you the sense of life the way it was before, and then how they're just kind of thrown into survival mode. And
Right.
I really like that. And then it cuts straight forward back into where the first film left off, which is day 475 or whatever day the count was. And the theming of this film is a little different to where the first one is. See, where I liked is that's how they kind of changed it up a little bit with the, like what you're saying,
Mhm.
the father figure. They were replacing John Krasinski's character with Cillian Murphy, whom again I think is a very underrated and underappreciated actor.
Yes.
He's always done really phenomenal, stellar work in everything that he's ever really done, and just to see him really almost carry this film, like what you're saying, him and the girl who plays the daughter, I can't remember her name.
I think it's
They
Millicent. Well,
Yes,
her
yes,
her real name, I think, is Millicent. Her name in the movie
yeah,
is Reagan.
yeah, and they really carry this film. With the dynamic that they have, the on-screen time that they have together, the scenes that they share together, where there's an obvious language barrier because he can't really speak sign language and she can't hear him, and then they're trying to learn how to communicate with each other. Scenes like that you really see. But again, the theming of this film is different, because where in the first film you see there's a lot of like that family dynamic, some regret, and there's that heavy emotion and that weight from what we saw what happened at the very beginning of the first film, to in this film where there's fear, and where the fear cripples you, and you're kind of frozen in place, where we see with Cillian Murphy's character, where what does one do when they're given an opportunity to make a change, or do something good? Will they take that chance? Will they step out, or will they allow that fear to kind of grip them? We see that with his character, and even with the son, who is constantly in fear and afraid to kind of almost do anything. So I really like those ideas and themes. And then here you have the daughter who's like not going to be crippled by fear. She's like, I need to go out and do something. I need to go out and make a change. I have something that can save these people, and I'm going to do that. And so I really like those themes. I really like those ideas. And, again, like what you said, what they do with the sound, what they do
Yeah.
to kind of build, there are some really intense moments where you're just kind of like just grip, like what you call like white knuckle
Yeah,
moments, where
you're white knuckling
you're
it.
just gripping so tight, that like you're just kind of like, oh my God, what is going to happen
Correct
next? And
correct
like,
me if correct me
go
if I'm
ahead.
wrong, Adrian, but I did see you jump a few times. Am I not mistaken?
I I may have. I will not deny that. Um, but you know what? Overall, again, with the dynamic of how I mentioned at the beginning, like having a newborn child and trying to keep the newborn child silent in a world where you have to stay silent, adds for some pretty intense moments. And like I said, overall, I really enjoyed this film. I really enjoyed what they did with the characters, how they build or built the characters and how they possibly leave it open for a third one. I don't know. We'll see what they do with that. But overall, I was really impressed because I gotta admit, when they first announced A Quiet Place 2, I was on the fence, no pun intended, about that. I wasn't sure that I really
Okay.
wanted a second one because I thought, you know what, the first one ended perfectly, and you know what, I don't think I need any more. But what they do with this one, they really build the characters and build their story even more, and you get a little bit deeper into their psyche as a group, as a family, and just as a people, what they're going through in that moment. And so, yeah, there's some really great moments in there, and I enjoyed it. So, with all that being said, Rob, what is your verdict? What are you going to recommend?
Well, I mean, like everything you said, Adrian, this movie was great. I too also, not so much I had doubts about from the when they announced Quiet Place Part Two. Um, I thought I just more thought like they ended it perfect with and again, if you haven't seen the first one, spoiler, how John Krasinski's character dies.
Yeah,
I just felt like, okay, this is a perfect ending. But you know what, I was happy with this movie. I was over I was ecstatic with this movie. I thought it was excellent. um and everything I loved about the first one, they brought it to the second one and they added more, which is, I feel like you got to do, like, if a movie's popular and you get to sequel, you want to take some of that first one and bring it to the second one and
yeah,
then add some different twists and stuff. So, in saying all that, I'm going to say you should definitely get off the fence and check out A Quiet Place Part 2, because like I said before, if you like the first one, you're going to really enjoy this one. I think to compare them is obviously it's going to happen, but I think the first one, it deals more with a family surviving and working together, and then this one deals with more a family in turmoil and trying to having to relocate and move
yeah.
because where they were set up, it has been destroyed. And so I think, yes, same characters, but you get two different kind of stories from one to two, and I think they did an excellent job. So get off the fence and check this movie out.
Yeah, Rob, I will say the same thing. I would say get off the fence and go watch this movie in theaters if you can,
Oh
if you're
yeah,
willing
yeah,
to,
yeah.
because watching it in theaters gives an entirely different experience. You want that atmosphere, you want that ambiance, you want that quietness, if you will, in your experience, and I don't think you're really going to get that at home. But yeah, like what you said, I think most of the time when movies do really well and they push out a sequel and the sequel just isn't very good, here they made a very strong sequel. So yeah, get off that fence and watch A Quiet Place 2. Well, guys, what are your thoughts? Have you watched A Quiet Place 2 yet? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you think the first one was better? Did you think this one was better? Why don't you comment down below? Let us know. And also, don't forget to click like, subscribe, and share with all of your friends. And follow us on Instagram at On the Fence Movie Reviews.
Also, one quick thing, I just want to say thank you to everyone. We just hit 200 subscribers
Yes,
on
200.
our YouTube. So thank you so much for everyone who has supported us, who has subscribed to us. We truly do appreciate all of your support, and we thank you. And in saying all that, remember, we'll catch you on the fence.